Really appreciate y'all. Like I always say, you can be doing other things, but you're taking the time to be with us, to listen to what we have to say. And don't forget, it's not about just listening. Make sure you get a full grasp. Make sure you, store all the information you're receiving, and make sure to help the next person. That's very important. Provide for others. Provide for others. Mr. Carlos, I see Raj. What's up, Raj? Um, Let me go ahead and read his message. What's going on, big bro?
Nothing much, little bro. How are you?
Good, good, good. Let me go ahead and read these messages. That way, before we get started. Let me share my mental health tribulation. Okay, all right, Raj. We'll get you on. We'll get you connected. Let me tell you my mental health story. I'm sure it'll help a lot of people. Just speaking about it made a lot of people aware and awaken to what the reality of psych is in America. Raj, we're gonna get you connected, bro. We're definitely gonna get you connected with us. This is gonna be major. This is gonna be major today. Big bro, there's anything you want to say before? I mean, we can go ahead and start off by putting Raj on.
Yeah, no. Just a welcome for everybody, and let's get it popping.
Sounds good. Right before we get you connected, Raj, make sure if there's anything you want to say, anything you want to ask, you have and you want to keep it anonymous, you have the option on the bottom right corner bubble with the question mark. Go ahead and drop your statement, any questions, and we'll give you the best response or answer possible, to the best of our knowledge, of course. If you want to go ahead and share the live, please do. You have the paper plane option on the bottom right corner. That way you can send it over DM, email, text. Just keep in mind that whenever you share it via Instagram, only people who are registered to Instagram are able to view the live. However, you can go ahead and view it on YouTube, where if you send it to someone, it doesn't require to have an account to view the live or any of our videos. So please make sure to share. Let's go ahead and let me see.
You're sounding a little choppy. I don't know if it's one of the two AirPods, bro.
Might be. How does it sound now?
Crystal clear.
Okay. Don't worry. Soon we're gonna make some changes on this side. Thank you, big bro. Thank you.
No problem, little bro.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get Raj connected. Raj, I'm accepting your request. Raj, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
How you been?
How are you,
How's everything?
Good. How you doing?
Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yo, for real. How's everything? How's life?
Everything's good, man. Just taking it one day at a time. When I say it's good, we always have our bad moments, but we don't entertain the bad, the struggle. We do discuss it with no problem, with no shame. But yeah, man, just been, trying to make it happen out here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. How's everything on your end? How you been?
I'm good. I'm doing my thing. I mean, like, since you brought up the mental health thing, like, it's been something that's been like, something I'm going through right now, and I've been going through it for like a couple years. I think about like 7 to 8 years, maybe.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So what specifically do you guys do episodes on? I haven't really been able to watch some. I mean, sometimes I come on and then, like, you're talking, but I never really see people like interact or actually like, join the sessions.
So it's very general. We discuss multiple topics, so it's never really something specific.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever your story is, man, feel comfortable to discuss it, because we discuss everything on this live, like everything. I mean, everything.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah. So it's never really specific. We really just talk about the struggle, and it's more about empowering others, right? Inspiring others, helping them get through, especially with what we experience in life, right? Whatever you're struggling with may be different from me, but I can still learn from you, right?
Of course.
So feel comfortable, man. Feel comfortable to open up if you feel comfortable with that, and let's get going. Let's make it happen.
Well, I'd like to start with something that I'm dealing with right now. Something, I mean, like, I'm not sure if you have seen on my my Instagram, but I had took the post off where I've been having like this issue all the time where like my family keeps trying to get me committed, like full-time committed, like into mental hospital committed, into psychiatric care. So the story starts like about the story begins initially in 1993. So I have a cousin, and his like what they used to do back in the day was that they used to commit people for like different reasons. Specifically, like there's something called an RF implant. You ever heard of it before?
Say that again.
You ever heard of an RF implant?
No.
Okay. So like back in the day when people in society were misbehaving, like men specifically, when they were like sexual predators or rapists or people that you need to control that did bad things in society.
Like,
they would do
yeah.
something called implanting them. So they got implanted with something, it's like the size of a rice grain, some of them. Sometimes what they do is they inject it like inside of like your hand, like chips, like chip injection.
Like chips, yeah.
They do it like that. I have a couple articles on it if anyone's interested in reading about it. You could just like hit me up and I'll send them to you. They're scholarly articles. They're well written. They're very informative on the topic, and you'll be able to like gain an understanding of what the implanting is and how it's going to change our world soon. So I got stuck with one in about 1989. So my uncle had did something bad, and he came to his country and he was working working to support his family and stuff. And when you have an implant, there's a controller that's associated with it. The controller is what controls the implant, and the implant in turn controls the person. So how it can control the person is like you can communicate with them with the implant. Not only that, but you can also like it sends like signals, like your neurons and your brain signals, your receptors send signals to like through the implant, which you can actually access through a reader, like a NFC reader, near field communication reader, or something like a reader. It's kind of like that. Well, what they do is they torture these people to make them stay inside and to make them not go anywhere, like during the time that they have the implant. Some people have them for like 10 years. Some people have them for like the depends on if they want to harass you for like a certain amount of time. But it's usually paired with like electronic harassment, which is where the harassment comes from like sound frequency that you can hear in certain different sound frequencies. You can hear low frequency or high frequency. The normal person hears everything in like a standard high frequency, like this. We're communicating with a standard high frequency. So if frequency is changed, then you can't really hear it. A normal person would not be able to hear it unless their ears are like tweaked. So that's where like they give you like cochlear implants, like you can fuck with the frequencies of your hearing and stuff. So you hear them talking to you all the time, and they're trying to condition you, and they're trying to make you be into a different person, to not be a sexual predator, to not be a rapist, or remind you that you're one of these things, or remind you that you shouldn't do those things, or remind you that you should do something better, or if you don't do something better, we'll fuck with you for the rest of your life. So he never had his like they knew a lot of people. They were very like connected back then, and to assume that they were connected, that they paid money, he never got his implant. He gave it to his son, right? And his son was the one that, instead of them harassing him, they harassed his son. So his son is my first cousin. They now try to commit him full-time into psychiatric care so that they would not be able to find out the reasoning behind or the validation as to why they committed him, why he's kept away from anyone, so that they wouldn't realize that the dad didn't have the implant anymore, that the son had the implant. So now he had it, whatever. I don't know how he dealt with it. He never spoke about it, never spoke about this thing. But all in all, the end result is that he did not end up getting committed full time, which is actually good, because imagine you're living your life and then suddenly you get thrown into psychiatric care for the rest of your life. It's horrible. Yeah. In this country, it happened to me recently, where I was at Queens General, and I haven't been on psychiatric meds since February. So this is now July, you know, and they keep you in the psychiatric psych wards, for umpteen amounts of hours, days, months on end, until they feel that you had enough of it, or until they feel that they've had their full of you, or until somebody else moves that bed. There's no rhyme or reason as to why they keep you in psychiatric care, or what the observation would be like. Because I was there for 3 days, just sitting there, just sitting, lying down, sleeping, whatever. If you don't have family that cares about you, or if you don't have a significant other, you get stuck there for a minuous amount of time. Like, it's ridiculously crazy. I've been stuck in psych wards for like a month at a time. One time I was in for almost a month, 28 days, 29 days maybe. And mind you, do you really think that I need to be in psychiatric care? You know me, Joaquin. Like, we work together. Have you ever thought that I would have been the person?
No, not at all.
Right? Like, I'm very confident, very adequate. There's no reason that I should be thrown into like a psych ward and just be forgotten about. But the bitter reality of America is that they don't give a fuck. Like, America does not give a fuck in the psychiatric wards. If you don't have family that cares about you, if you don't have a significant other that will pull you out of there, they will keep you forever. Like, they don't even care. And the fucked up part about it is that the system is using resources that they can be using for someone else to get a heart transplant, to get a dialysis, things that the society needs. But these psych wards really are something that they really need to be evaluated, and they really need to be, dissected. And why are we paying so much paraprofessionals and professionals, like clinical professionals, to do things such as sit behind, like, in psych wards, they have like a glass wall, like a glass encasement, where only the professionals stay there. So like the psychiatrists, psychologists, psychotherapists, the RNs, LPNs, they only stay there. They will come out of that little hut, maybe to observe like patients at least like, twice a day. One time to observe, one time for lunch, because they'll do rounds in the morning. You won't see them back unless if you want to bother them or you want to, try and get out. Like me, obviously, I'm going to go, and I usually go to the glass encasement, I knock on that shit, and I'm like, yo, get me the fuck out of here. What am I doing here? There's no reason. I'm not on psych meds. You're observing me without psych meds, and you're just keeping me here. So what is the point? So I get to find out that when I called my dad totally ignored it. Like, he didn't even say, I'm going to call, I'm going to call them, I'm going to let them know. Because after I got the phone with my dad, I went to the psychologist and the psychiatrist, and they were like, we spoke to him, but we're going to let you go later. And that never happened. I was there another day. Initially, when I went in to the psych ward, my dad had called them and told them to keep me there. How I know is that when I was, as soon as I got in and I told them that I was not on psychiatric meds and that I was weaned off of psychiatric meds and that my insurance wasn't paying for it, they had told me that they were going to release me. So the social worker prepared my release papers. She prepared like my package and my payable treatment plan, and she was going to release me. So within seconds later, there's like, you have to stay. Your family thinks that you should stay. So I'm like, well, who really is making the decision here? Are you being the ones that are observing me making the decision, or are you are listening to my peers or my relatives as to who makes a decision as to who stays in psychiatric care? So it's a real sad thing that people have to go through that. Like, if you don't have relatives, or if you don't have friends that care about you, or if you don't have anyone that will look out for you,
supportive and stuff,
if you don't have a support system, you end up stuck, and you end up kept there like an animal.
And that's how I felt. You know, I felt like I was like an animal. And my mom's dog gets treated better than I did in psychiatric care. You know? So
Yeah, Raj, I'm
so
sorry to hear that, man. Like we're listening. I'm sorry to hear that. I can only imagine what that experience is. Appreciate the fact that you shared that, because a lot of people, like I said in the beginning of the live, there's a lot of people that are ashamed or they're embarrassed to share such information because of how people are going to look at them or how, you know, they're going to talk about them. You clearly don't care. You know what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful thing. See, there's a lot of things that we're learning from each other right now, because you told me about, correct me if I'm wrong, the RF plant, right?
RF implant.
Say that again?
You could look it up. I'll type it right here.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and look it up. But you know, you're educating us, and you've been inside these places. What we don't know of RF implant. Yeah, I see it there. And you know, people get to hear you out, man. They get to hear what it is that they haven't seen. You know, there's a lot of people out here complaining, and you know, they're complaining, and they really don't know that there's other people out there who are also going through it. You know, we're not alone. And it's not that we're measuring, you know, the degree of, you know, you're going through something much worse than I am. We are all going through it, no matter how bad or, you know, how less it is between us. We're not comparing each other. But it does show, like, we have to be super grateful, man. And I'm actually happy that you're not in there. You know what I'm saying? That you
I'm very hurt. I mean, I'm not injured right now, but I mean, in the process of,
it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing, of course.
It's more than traumatizing. I have not been the same since my first occurrence and in psychiatric care.
How can you be? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to be the same after all you've been going through, you know? But like you said, you do need a support system. You know, definitely count on us. You know, this platform, like, as you can see, we hear you out. We're able to discuss. If you ever have to reach out to someone to talk, whatever that is, you know, Pastor Carlos and I, we're here for you.
Yep.
You know, Refiners Church is there for you.
If I could add real quick, little bro, if I could add
ahead,
something
bro.
real quick, because I think it's real important. Something that he's, you know, a lot of the things that he's mentioning, a lot of people have a lot of ideas behind these things. You know, they have their theories as to why, right? Like, so for example, like you got people that have had their theories of like, oh, you know, I don't know if you remember but when COVID first started, there was a lot of talk of the 5G conspiracy, that a lot of the things was happening with the, you know, with the waves from the 5G.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
people that have talked about
Yes.
there's been the RFID implants, like he's been talking about. There has been there has been people that have for the longest talked about, you know, when you got these people that are like, no, I'm just going to get the implant in my hand so that I can pay with my hand, or I can open the door with my hand and stuff like that.
oh, but
A
that's
lot of
different.
people
That's
are not
microchipping.
right. That's microchipping. But the thing is, a lot of people have had their theories based on a lot of different, you know, ideas as to the frequencies, the waves that come out of that stuff, because all of that stuff emits waves, right? Your 5G, your RFID, all this stuff emits waves. I want to break it down to even something a little bit more basic, and you're going to see where I'm going to go with it, because all of this has coming from you know, from the battles that, you know, that I go into, like spiritually and stuff like that. A lot of this stuff really has something to do in the spiritual too. I know of a case of somebody who not long ago had an issue come up where they made an honest mistake, nothing to do with anything major, but ultimately this is somebody that was trying to walk in the right way that the Lord wanted them to walk into. What happened? An incident happened, right, where all of a sudden the court system tried to come in, and the court system was trying to push on this person. Well, you know, you suffered, like you had these issues before, in terms of like you had this depression, or you had this, like emotional mind state issues. And it was like, you made this mistake because of those emotional issues. And it's like, what are you talking about? This is something from like a decade ago. What are you even talking about? Like, this has nothing to do with an honest mistake that I made with something, you know? And the very thing that they tried to push on them was, well, we'll drop charges if you take these pills. We'll drop charges if you get this evaluation and you take these pills. Those pills had nothing to do with any of their stuff. But you know what it was all about? The enemy wants to use people that are under his influence in order for him to be able to control others. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all right now, because when I'm hearing from Raj right now is something that right off the bat, I'm thinking like, yo, this is a control of people in a different kind of way. This is a control of people. I immediately thought of this other person's situation in which they gave this testimony. And it's like, yeah, they wanted to get me under the influence of medications. For what purpose? The person didn't need it. In fact, they stood their ground and were like, no, I'm not going to do it. And God, you know, to God be the glory, that person was able to win their court case and was able to not be on meds. They today are operating 100% just fine with med because they didn't need those meds. But there was something that wanted to have them under an influence. And I'm not going with government conspiracies or nothing like that. I'm talking about there is an enemy out there that wants people under the influence so that they can easily be manipulated. And it's not a game. That's why people got to be very careful. And I'm going to be 100% blunt and honest with you. With some people, it's going to be through going ahead and giving them implants. Through others, it's going to be through medications. I can't tell you the amount of people that I've heard of that instead of dealing with their issues, you and me both, bro, you know, we've talked about this for over a year. You need to have this come to Jesus moment and deal with your issues. Let him help you to deal with your issues. Because what happens is you easily nowadays go somewhere else and there will be people that want to medicate you. The fact that you would medicate it means you're not dealing with an issue. You've never gotten to the root of the problem. And you are going to be controlled by things that you don't need to take. Does this mean that that nobody needs to take medication? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the simple solution to get people under control is to get them under things that can control them. And that's not looking out for the well-being of the person. That's looking out for an enemy that wants to control people. You got to remember, we've talked about this for the longest. The enemy is the one that runs this world. The enemy is the one that's got people under an influence. He wants to control people for a plan and a purpose. You know what I'm saying? And you need to watch out because it's not a game out there at all. So when I hear that this brother right here has been undergoing this difficulty, it's not a surprise to me. It's not a surprise to me. And I'm reading the comments right now that Jael has put out there.
Right there.
Yeah, she said worked in a psychiatric hospital for 2 years with young people. He's telling the truth about how clients and patients are treated. Psychotropic meds have side effects and there's emotional trauma through that experience for many people. Right here is confirmation. You got two people giving confirmation. And one other thing, it's not a coincidence that they try to isolate you. And notice when, like he said, you don't have family, you don't have people that are looking out for you and all that stuff. Remember, bro, I gave this example a long time ago when the Lord gave me this example, and it was during the COVID time. Was the time that he gave me this primary example. I don't know if you remember, bro. I gave the example of the candle and what happens with the candle when you take a jar and you put it over the candle and it's now isolated and it doesn't have air. You could have two candles right next to each other. In fact, if one candle is going out and you take the other candle, that other candle can go and light the candle that's starting to burn out. But what happens the moment that you isolate it? The moment that you isolate it, you are taking out the oxygen from that candle. You're taking away from it, and eventually that candle burns out, and there's nothing that can infiltrate in there to go and burn that light. Remember, we are the light of Christ. God shines his light, right? So when you're talking about that, the enemy wants you isolated. He wants people isolated. So you get people, it's like, imagine what he just mentioned. They're keeping you isolated, keeping you isolated, keeping you isolated, keeping you isolated. If you don't got people looking out for you, you will continue to remain in isolation. The enemy wants you in isolation. And once you've been, programmed in that way, once you've been isolated so much, the enemy wants people isolated. And I don't know who the Lord is talking to right now. For some of y'all, that's what's going to happen if you're on those meds and you didn't really need it. For some of y'all, it's going to happen like happened to him when you go into the psychiatric treatment. For others, you know what? When you put yourself in that depressed mode and you stay in a spot so long and you're self-isolating, the enemy can work with you however he wants. He's going to see what method works to isolate you, to keep you isolated, to get you away from people, to get people to not be able to talk to you. That's why you got certain people that they isolate, they self-isolate, and they don't let nobody in, and they break the relationships that way. And by the time they're good, they have nobody around them. That's exactly what the enemy wanted, because then you enter into that self-isolated mode and you fall into that. The enemy's working with people right now, and don't sleep, because he's going to try to get you in different ways. And last thing, I don't know, again, who I'm talking to you, but you got a lot of people right now that they're self-isolating without meds. They're self-isolating without, RFIDs. They're self-isolating without the depression and all that stuff. Yo, some of y'all really need to pay attention to the fact that you've been spending 15 hours on screen time, not talking to anybody, because all that stuff, it's all programming you. It's not a game. It's for real. The enemy wants you programmed, dog. It's what it is. And it's not a game, and people are falling for it.
Distraction, and
exactly
distraction. And it's like these are the kind of situations, Raj, like yours and everyone else who's going through it. It gets you to the point where you feel lost, discouraged, because it's like you're confused. Like, what is it? What's going on? Of course, we're aware of what's happening, but the attack is so strong, and like that season that you're in, you don't find a way out, right? Like, Raj, I can only imagine how you felt when you got out. You're not fully healed from it. You're not fully healed, and it's gonna take time for you to heal from it. But you got to make sure. It's very critical now. You got to have the right people around you. Be careful who you're talking to, right? Because not everyone's looking out for you. Not everyone's looking out for you, and you never know.
Well, yeah. So, and the thing is that, well, with this current situation, it's worse. I mean, it gets worse. Like, it starts off like little, and then it gets worse. So,
it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I never, when I was younger, I'm like, going back to what what's his name again? Chan?
Carlos?
Oh, yeah, Carlos?
Yep.
Yeah, well, going back to what Carlos was saying, about the intertwining the religious or spiritual background with it, that has a lot to do with it as well. I mean, on many different levels, and many different sects of Christianity, the spiritual Baptist, the Shango Baptist, Pentecostal, the ones that channel the Spirit, the Holy Ghost. In Hinduism, there's the Kali thing, the Kali Mandir, the Kali Temple, the goddess that she speaks as an oracle through the devotees, or through people that are devoted to her, right? And that's like a huge thing that a lot of people confuse that with mental health issues as well. Growing up, like, I've never, like, I've always been like into spirituality and being religious more when I was younger. Now more of a spiritualist, and also religious as well, but a little bit of both. Okay. The thing about the voices, when you hear people say that you hear voices, when they ask you in the psych centers, they say, do you hear any voices? 3 top questions they ask you: do you want to hurt yourself? Do you want to hurt others? Do you hear voices? That's depending on whatever you answer is how you leave or you stay. So I did answer that I heard voices, right, the first time, because all throughout my childhood I've heard like voices. But do you confuse that with divine intervention, or do you confuse that with like a mental health issue? Because it couldn't have been that all throughout my childhood I've heard voices, and then I wasn't on meds. I never was taking meds for them, but I realized that had something to do with like a spiritual aspect of something of my personality, of my soul, that connected to my soul, or something like that, or with the divine entity of sorts, supreme Godhead, something way supreme, way surpassing, that omnipresent, omniscience, like, I'm probably saying the word wrong, but it's omniscience or omniscience.
Omniscient.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The thing is that I wasn't medicated then, so like, why is that changing who I was today? Because I sometimes have the same connection with the spirits today. It's like, the Santeria, or the pantheon of or the Orisha, like with the communication that they stem with people that can conjure the spirit or connect with the different spirits, the elemental spirits, So now when I had my first psychiatric experience was November 20th, 2000, and I'm talking about long term, like stay in the hospital inpatient forever. Because I always used to take therapy and stuff. I used to take therapy at New Horizons and different like psychiatric centers, like just to like be healthy for a good mental health overall well being. So I had a first long term experience on a November of a couple years ago, and I was walking home from spending the night out. I went out and I was like, you know what? Let me go to the city. Let me get a hotel room and just like just vacation, staycation. So I went to, I think it was 14th Street. I don't remember, but it was a really nice hotel room, and it's nothing different than having to just like not care about the bed sheets or the white fluffy. Like it's just something about me. I don't know. Have you ever experienced that? Like wanting to just isolate yourself from your normal surrounding and just put yourself somewhere else and feel different,
Yeah.
just for your mental health, well-being.
Mhm.
That's what I did. So now coming back from there, I was pushed out of my home, my apartment for quite some time, where the harassment, the electronic harassment started for like months, but I didn't know what the fuck it was because I kept hearing the communication with voices, and I kept hearing like people telling me to do things, and I kept hearing advice or I guess you could say like instruction, direction, and I didn't know what it was. So now all of that was happening before I got home that day. So I'm walking home. It's freezing outside. I had my book bag on. I had a coat on. Clothes. I had heavy clothes. It was November. So walking up closer to my building, I started to hear people that I knew like off the back of my hand, like family and friends that were getting hurt, and they were like in a dangerous situation, and they needed my help. So in that situation that they needed my help, they made it seem as if I was the only one that could help them at that time. Now coming back from the hotel, I smoked some bud, like I was fucked up, like I'm hungover at this point, and I didn't sleep. I didn't really eat that much, so I was like, a little like fucked up, as you would. You come from a hotel, like I got laid. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm going back home. I'm like tired. So now I start hearing this shit. Approaching my building, it gets intense. So the communication
You're
starts
saying
up.
the voices, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's like a altercation, like a situation happening, right?
yeah,
But not the people being there physically.
right. Nobody was there
Yeah.
physically at all. So I'm looking around, like, where the fuck are these voices coming from? Like, I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. Is it like, is it me? Is it God? Am I being confused with something, or confused with someone that people are talking to me on the outside? But I just kept going. I kept going towards my apartment, going towards my apartment. So I finally made it a little bit to my apartment, like close to my apartment. I stopped. So I noticed that there were speakers that were wired above my apartment, and the speakers, there were like a couple of speakers, like a circuit that was there, like wired above my apartment. Not that much, probably like around 5, 6, but they were old-fashioned speakers. Like I can show you, they did it to me here where I'm living right now in my apartment. This is the third apartment that I have that I'm going through this. Actually, I can show you right now.
So when you're saying, repeat what you said. When you're saying the about the speakers, is that what you're gonna show us now?
Yeah.
Okay.
They put speakers, like Bluetooth speakers on the perimeter of where like leading up to my apartment. It's the first time that this happened to me with electronic harassment.
Who's they?
My family.
Okay.
Like a lot of people are involved in it.
Okay.
My family, a couple of friends, and a couple of friends' friends. Like, that seemingly don't like me, or that, they found like pleasure in this. But the RF implants, they have like testing environments. Like you can test them. People can test them, and they get paid a lot of money for it. They get paid a lot of money to test these things. And if you are deemed inadequate, or if you deem that you don't need money, or you're deemed that that you're mentally unstable, people can use you and manipulate you and test that implant on you for years. That's how people get committed. They commit them to psychiatric lockup for umpteen years, their lifetimes. It's not. you don't even understand. It's such a horrible thing. I'm dealing with it right now. You know, they're doing it
Yeah,
to me as we
yeah.
speak. And the thing is that there's so much money that this clinical trial has been going on for. Let's just call it clinical
Hmm.
trial. That they have not compensated me at all for over 10 years of having this implant, and I haven't gotten any money to live. Even though like I'm kept home, I'm forced to stay inside. I'm tortured with the controller that is paired with the implant. If I do something that they don't like, they have like different functions that are on the control that can cause me pain.
And again,
Um,
they are family members, right?
yeah,
Okay,
family and friends.
got it.
Um, the worst one of all is I have one that they put inside of my anus. So right now it's in my anal cavity, and it has a microphone, and it has a camera, and it has the regular implant attributes. These are very expensive, sophisticated kind of things. These technologies. So one day I threatened the people that are doing this to me that I was gonna leave and go on vacation and not come back. Now, while I was getting dressed, one of the guys that was doing it, it's a friend of a friend. He was telling me that that I need to do this, I need to do that. If I don't do this, then this will happen. The guy tried to prolapse my
When
anus.
this person is telling you this, are they telling you this over a phone, or are you hearing these voices
That's how they communicate with. They're communicating
through the
with you.
voice? Okay,
Yeah, the RF implant system or the circuit is built up of like a couple things.
it's all through that
Mine's,
line, through that
yeah,
communication. Okay, I just wanted to
right.
clarify for everyone who's listening.
Yeah. So mine specifically has implants, the RF implants. It has a stent. I have a stent. I have urine catheter, and I have cochlear implants.
Wow. You
So
know,
my
I didn't
family
want.
and my friends did this to me. Hmm?
I didn't want to hold that thought if you don't mind, because I wanted to bring something up that you mentioned. Not saying that when you mentioned the whole thing about the substances, right? You smoked that night, you drank. Something that we got to be careful with, and even personally, me in the past, because I'm just speaking on experience. I just want to let everybody know I'm no professional, and I'm not blaming it on the substance or any details that he gave. Simply,
Hmm.
just raising awareness. Sometimes, whenever we use these substances, most of the time we have a lot in our subconscious, right? And there's certain substances that would bring whatever we have in our subconscious out, right? Or it creates paranoia. Um, you name it, things happen. You're not crazy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that it was because of the substance, but it could have been a possible effect from it, right? Aside from all the experiences you've had already, and sometimes maybe that can worsen um, the situation, like what you've experienced in the past, especially, it's traumatizing. You have it in you, the emotional distress, and just overall, it piles up. And when we're under the influence, most of the time, it tends to just turn into other conditions in the moment, not permanent conditions. I'm just talking about, let's say that night, you know what I'm saying? Or let's say tomorrow, if you don't experience it tonight, you experience it the next day through your hangover, et cetera, et cetera. There's multiple, it happens differently for all of us. And that's one thing that I can confirm for myself in the past through substances, this thing that comes to mind. And I even chose to, weed ain't for me, you know? That's my opinion. This is I'm talking about personally for me. Um, you know, but it was pretty rough, man, and the experience was horrible for me. A lot of others that I've discussed it with, they were like, "Oh, you know what? It's crazy because I went through the same thing too." And so I'm like, "All right, I don't feel bad. I thought I was going crazy, or maybe, uh, you know, maybe it was just a chemical imbalance or something. Whatever it is, not saying that everything that you're discussing on this platform, I just want to clear that with everyone who's listening. Spirituality is real. What Raj is talking about is real. The effects on substances are real also. So you'll never know what it is. And to get to the bottom of it, it's a long process. And there's going to be people who are going to think you're crazy. And Raj, I'm not saying you personally, I'm talking to everyone in general. There's going to be people that when you discuss these things, like whatever I said, whatever Raj said, whatever Pastor Carlos said, they'll look at you like you're crazy. Like we had an episode on spirituality, on the experiences that I had personally, you know, what I went through. And we had multiple people get on that night that it was intense. You have a few people who are listening and learning from this and saying, wow, this stuff really exists. You have other people looking at us like these people are crazy. And
Well, yeah.
we
Go
have to
go
accept
go
both.
tell somebody who's encountered
Go ahead, Big Bro.
demons or demonic activity. Go tell somebody like that
They'll look at
they're
us like we're
crazy.
crazy.
They'll look at you like you're crazy, but it's real. It doesn't change the fact that it's real. I mean, I could tell you from my perspective. I used to be the one on the flip side to be like, nah, these people are crazy, until I got to see it.
Yeah.
Until I was part of casting it out of people and got to see it firsthand and got to see people manifest and got to see the demons talk and all that stuff. Until you lived it, it changes it. Yeah, it's like there's nothing that quite changes your perspective like being in the situation and being like, oh snap, I was wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And actually, I want to piggyback something off of that real quick. I do want to also clarify. A lot of people sometimes like to be in certain camps and like to say, "Oh, the issue is that
Yeah.
there's always a mental health issue, or it's always
They
a
want to try to
demon,
ignore
or
other
it's
people.
y'all need to stop." Because
Yep.
first of all, I can tell you, it's not always a demon. It's not. It's not always a demon. Sometimes it's from the substances that you're taking. Sometimes it's the medications you're taking. Sometimes, you do have issues with your,
Hallucination,
yeah, exactly, as a result of your health. You know what I'm saying?
withdrawal.
So it's
the characteristics of how you know when people have them, or why, or how they even get them, or how they're even used in towards scientific advantage, technology advancement, in terms of science, in terms of gathering data or clinical trial results, to be able to come to better conclusions for our daily living, and to better, more advanced technology, so that we can be able to benefit from that, or benefit from those kind of things, like the RF implants, or the like he said, like I said, the microchipping, because it has a lot of positive.
Everything has pros and cons, yeah.
Right.
Right. But there are also a lot of negative things to it. Like, people that are microchipped, it'll be good for clocking in the work, or keeping your time accurately from when you get into to that scan to when you leave to that scan. You don't even have to scan it. Maybe you don't have to even take your wallet to go to the store.
I think they're implementing.
By the way, little bro,
Switzerland or something, Switzerland or Ireland.
I want to add something real quick for those of y'all that think that this is just conspiracy theories and all this stuff. Little bro, I just had something happen that has not happened since the first few months that we started the platform. We lost our Facebook and our YouTube users.
That's crazy.
Because Instagram all of a sudden blocked the feed that brings it in to not allow the information out. And I had to get back into Instagram in a different way, because it wanted me to supposedly verify who I was and all that stuff. So if you think that this is a game, when you start poking the enemy and you start showing what the deal is, the enemy tries to block, the enemy tries to fight back. We just literally lost our Facebook viewers and our YouTube viewers. So welcome y'all that are back with us. I know y'all, so they're going to have seen the page that came up saying that we were blocked and that they wanted to verify that it was us. We have not had that issue in almost a year. It finally reconnected now.
Okay.
Finally reconnected now.
I remember when it happened the last time, they didn't reconnect. So we were only on the Instagram Live, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. We would only be on the Instagram Live for those. So I'm just saying, it's not coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidence.
Today's topic, today's conversation is definitely intense. Raj, you brought it to another level in a good way, which is amazing. We always appreciate that. Like, we've had testimonies here in the past where you would think that, the people who had put the testimony out, they wouldn't even discuss it. That's how sensitive these things are. But
I mean, yeah. Well, that's what I was telling you, where I left off with the last, as to why I'm threatened to stay from it, why I can't go anywhere. Because that specific game, I was telling them, I had enough of the electronic crap, because I'm a targeted individual. That's what it is. I'm a TI, So I said I was going from that, and I was going to go take whatever money I had out the bank and go somewhere far and just not come back. But they need me because I'm tested inside of the trial. So now when I was leaving, one of the people that were holding onto the controller, whatever function they pressed on it, it was in with purpose to prolapse my anus, because that's where one of the RF implants are, in my anus. So the guy that had did it to me, the reason why he put it in my anus is because he wanted to make sure that anyone, or he wanted to know exactly what was going in my anus, what was going out of my anus, or what was happening with me all the time sexually, But he wanted to keep tabs on me. But I think he did it, they also did it as a joke, because, it's a cruel joke, but it's bad because it took a while for that thing to
it basically served two purposes. If it would have been the joke, it served two purposes. Right. Now, let me ask you, because I don't want to lose this thought. So the ones that you say that are implanted in your ears, what purpose does that one have? Like, what is it that you're listening to, what you're receiving?
Mm-hmm. Those are cochlear implants. Because how I knew that started was one day I heard some people, I heard the communication, and it was a couple of my cousins, my dad, my mom, a couple of my relatives, and they were talking about it being cochlear implants, and that it was part of a trial with NYU, of which I did not get compensated for either. So they put me in these trials, they do this shit to me. The cochlear implants are illegal because they're not registered. They're registered to my brother who used to work there, or to whoever they felt like they wanted to register, and they took them and they put them in my ears.
So the trial now is going on, and they said that the reason why that I have them is so that they can communicate with me when I'm not near them, right? So
Wow.
how I knew that was happening, they were testing it. They came all the way to my apartment. I live in Kew Gardens, and my family lives in Valley Stream. My other cousins live in Brooklyn. My other cousins live in in Ozone Park, like all the way over there. Some even in Connecticut. They all came just to see me in misery. So the cochlear implants, whoever has the controller for it, they can regulate the frequency on my ears. So they can regulate the sound frequency, they can regulate the sound volume. So, like I said, standard people, I mean, a normal person would hear things at a regular or higher.
This is pretty much mind control in a way.
Well, that's what electronic harassment is.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically like, if you ever heard of V2K, it's like a software that people use for mind control or for electronic harassment for TIs, targeted individuals. Every time, these are like words that you should look up so you can get an idea. Individual, targeted individual, TI.
Yeah, the only time that I heard of the mind control that I looked into it, it was HARP, which is the most that I know. But definitely after you mentioned the whole RF implant, like I'll be looking these things up because
I'll
it's
send you
good to
some
know.
articles. I have your email, so I'll send you some articles for you to read on. It's good. It's good subject matter to speak about, like when you're around intelligent people that can either understand scientific technology advancement, or even like to understand how this kind of stuff dehumanizes people and it strips people of their rights to live or to have rights as an American, or to have any right to even live, to have pursuit of happiness, to be able to have freedom. Because I don't have that. Because no matter how much times I try to get an attorney, the people that are doing this, they stop them from getting in touch with me. They harass them. They annoy them. They threaten them. To the point that one of my aunts, she executed a power of attorney as me. One of my friends pretended to be me at the signing and signed my name, saying that he's the principal of my estate.
Wow.
Signed his name, saying that he's my principal. You know what I mean? So he took the power of attorney out on me. So the power of attorneys are lingering out. There are a lot of things that are associated with money right now, and they're signing away shit, and they're keeping me awake. Because going back to that date with the price of the
this is much deeper than just the implant.
It's like
there's a lot more behind it.
Of course there is, because that I'll get to like eventually. But back to the part about the prolapse. So I said that I was leaving. I said that I wasn't going to come back, and immediately he started to press something that caused the veins around my sphincter muscle to swell, and I put my fingers right on it, and the veins were throbbing, and it was like have you ever had like a muscle sprain, or like something where one of your blood veins like gets stiff, really really stiff, and you feel it like it's like stiff, like hard, like muscle?
No, yeah.
That's what it felt like. This was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. It was as if I could swear to God I was seeing colors. No joke, colors. Like, he pressed this thing, the function on the remote, the controller. I felt that I was gonna die, and I had to beg for him to stop. He would not stop it. He would not stop using the function on the controller. He did it to the point that if I didn't beg for him to stop, and if I didn't prove to him that he didn't want me
And when you say
to
beg, did you make a phone call? How?
Where I am right now, in my apartment, they put speakers that are facing into my apartment. So what they do is they rent a room next door to me. They rent a room by my neighbor, and they sit there. They have like this kind of setup where there's a mic, and there's like a thing with a light that shines like over them, like kind of like a studio. You ever seen like in the studios where they sing? And there's like a mic system, and then it has like kind of like a umbrella. It's like a sound thing to like keep sound.
How big are these speakers? How big are they?
When I went
Is
up
it like
on the roof, one day I went up on the roof to see why it was so loud. They're not that big because they're like technology has advanced so much nowadays that you don't
micro?
need to have huge speakers to play music. They could be like minuscule, but they're Bluetooth and they come from everywhere, so that's different, you know. But yeah, the
Wow,
speakers. It's crazy because what it is that back to the hearing and the cochlear implants. So the frequency level was set to a certain level that's lower than normal. Because if anybody else that was passing by or would be associated with the event of being a part of this, they wouldn't really hear it as I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it like if I'm in a fucking video game. It sounds like this.
it's like you have AirPods on.
Basically, but it's inside my ear canal. Get it? Like it's slipped in.
No, man. But I appreciate you sharing this, you know, and because this helps us understand different situations
It
in this
costs
world.
$50,000 to remove one of them. I probably have I think two in each ear, maybe more. It's illegal. It's illegal, and they've been keeping them. They've been doing this to me so they can torture me, because it's a lot of money that they've been taking from me for all these years from clinical trials, and they have not given me a cent. Not one thing. It even got so bad that they went to start to tell my temple that I have AIDS, right? And that they raised fundraising in temple. They pulled money together, and they still haven't given me anything. But they forced me to be kept inside. And there are a lot of people, like if you hear right now, you can probably hear them talking.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
No,
You could probably hear a little bit, like the chatter in the background. But that's the frequency level that it is. It's at a lower frequency that you can't really hear it as much as you normal for someone else.
wow. Raj, I really appreciate you sharing all this, man. And you know, it's major because someone else who's listening who might be going through the same situation can, you know, finally feel comfortable with, you know, coming forward and discussing it and not feeling alone, you know, not feeling alone, because I know that can be a tough situation. Even those who are out there right now feeling, you know, confused, under so much stress, they tend to go through so much that they find themselves in a difficult situation, you know. And this is something very delicate, you know. This is something very
It's super
delicate.
delicate because
I want you to be very careful.
You know, they're probably really upset, but like they've been doing this for me for 2 years on the intensity level is extremely horrible.
Raj,
Horrible.
I'm sorry, I don't want to miss on this opportunity. You can stay right there, though. You can stay there because we have Jael who wants to join the live. Jael was the one who mentioned in the chat. Yeah, I'm getting her connected now.
Okay.
She mentioned in the chat how she worked in the psychiatric hospital for 2 years. Oh, there she is. Jael, what's going on? What's going on? Good, good. How you
Hey,
feeling?
how are y'all doing? Good. Can you hear me okay? I'm having all sorts of technical issues over here. I tried to pull up a lot of stuff to share with you guys, and the enemy's just blocking everything. So
So
I think we might have them back.
Okay.
Give me just a second. It's supposedly trying to update a password now.
Insane.
We've
Insane.
we've normally gotten blocked maybe one time, just so y'all are aware of it. But we've never gotten blocked twice.
I'm getting
goosebumps. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
I mean, I've been getting goosebumps for like the past 20 minutes.
Okay, there we go.
Insane.
Let me bring us back in. There goes our desktop audio. Hi, those of y'all that are with us on Facebook and YouTube, y'all are back for the third time actually, right here. This is crazy. You know what Corinne says?
Corinne,
we can pray. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and pray, because something's definitely here and the enemy's not happy. So let me just pray over this real quick, bro, and then we'll have Jael continue on. Lord Jesus, we just give you thanks, Father, for what you're doing. You're obviously shining light on something that's real. And you mentioned, Lord, your people, perish because they lack knowledge. What we're wanting is for those hidden things to come to light, for that transparency to come in, so people can become aware of the real things that are happening, because there are real things that are happening right now that people are not aware of. So may they be able to hear it, and may you protect this feed, Lord, because twice we've been knocked. And we know that you're doing something and revealing what you've put in Brother Raj tonight, Lord God. So we give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen. May you guide the rest of this. Go ahead, y'all.
Okay. All right. So first I want to say that mental health is never one size fits all. Never. I don't care what the diagnosis is. There is a spectrum. And so when you hear things like, if you have this, you have to take this, like the young man was saying, like Pastor Carlos was saying, like Joaquin was saying, there's some sort of control factor in that, or it is a insurance issue where they want to push a particular drug. So that, it's never one size fits all. To those of you who are dealing with somebody who has a mental health issue, I want you to think about what I'm getting ready to tell you, and just try to receive it with an open mind and an open heart. You have to listen unconditionally, the way Pastor Carlos and Joaquin have just beautifully demonstrated, without judgment.
I agree.
You've got to listen unconditionally. Those of you who are Christian, Spirit-filled, saved, you've got to listen to the Holy Spirit, because sometimes the Holy Spirit will tell you to intercede and say something or do something, and sometimes he'll say, just listen. Okay? Celebrate the small wins, the small victories. When they make a step forward in the right direction, celebrate that. Let them know that you noticed. A lot of people with mental health have very low self-esteem issues. They don't feel good about themselves. So please celebrate when they do something right. It's just like what I do in the classroom. A child struggling to learn, he gets 29 problems wrong. I'm jumping up and down over the one he got right. Let people know that you care and that you caught it, that you saw it. Yeah. Check in on people. When you know people have mental health issues, they probably don't want you around. I didn't want people around. I would self-isolate. However, you need to check in on people. You really, really do, because you never know when they're spinning, when they're going through some sort of cycle, when they've had a trigger. Luckily, I have some people that trust me, and they'll call me when they're spinning out of control, and I'll drop what I'm doing if I can and leave and go, help them. So check in on people. Make sure that if you say that you're going to be there for them, be there for them. Don't say it and don't follow through, because now you're just negatively reinforcing the fact that they can't trust anybody, that they don't have anybody, that nobody loves them. You're giving the enemy a foothold, a stronghold, if you don't follow through. Because I think one of you said it earlier, either Joaquin or Carlos, that the enemy wants you isolated. And so the person with the mental health issue is going to say, why should I bother? Nobody's coming, nobody cares. That's what the enemy wants. Show compassion, This is not the time to proselytize and browbeat people with a bunch of verses. There's a time for that, and there's a time just to be human. And ministry is human. And we forget that. We get so religious, so spiritual, that we forget to be human and just love on people. Encourage them. Don't forget to encourage them to get help, especially if it's out of your domain, if it's out of your realm. There's a lot of times at my old church. Hold on a second. There's a lot of times at my old church, people, because I was on the ministry team for counseling,
I definitely need your help.
They would send me people and they would say, you're the expert, so you tell us if it's something we can't handle. And I'm saying the same thing to you, those of you who have loved ones, a spouse, a child. When things get to the point where you can't handle it, you must seek help. There are things that are out of your domain. That's why doctors have specialties. There are things they're not good at, that they're not trained for. They might know this much information and they need this much. That's why there are specialties in different fields. So when things get out of your realm, you must seek help. Don't try to take that on yourself. And the last thing I want to say to encourage those of you who are dealing with someone with mental health, and then I'll move on to something else, is that you also have to take care of yourself, especially if they're living with you. Because you can work yourself into a state of depression and sickness yourself. So there must be some sort of self-care. Does that make sense, everybody?
Wait, but ma'am, I don't want to cut you, but
okay.
The help that I need, I think you can definitely help me with. I reached out to a company in California to be able to get me an RF controller for my system or circuit. And they weren't able to personalize it to the way that mine's is set up, because it's supposed to be very complex. So my system is complex. The way that the implant identifiers are done is complex. And the way that the functions that are patented for the specific implant are also complex. So they can't help me get a controller for it. So I've been trying to get one because my family doesn't want to give it to me. They've been withholding it for umpteen years now. And there's no way that, I can be able to get one, because they've allowed other people to be able to have the opportunity to purchase the controller. But they allow me to be able to have my hands on one, or to be able to grasp it, to be able to get one even. So that's the problem that I'm facing right now. Hi. Can you order to go?
Okay, well, I will pray about that and see what the Lord gives me about that, if that's something that I'm supposed to help you with or not. But going back to something Pastor Carlos said, he's so right. Some things are demonic. Some things are not. You cannot, I know somebody's about to get mad, but that's okay. You cannot cast out what should be counseled. You cannot cast out what should be counseled, because you can't cast out what is not a demon. And a trauma response is not demonic. So a lot of times people are having trauma responses and not demonic manifestations. And that's why there needs to be training so people know the difference, because trauma affects people in different ways. Okay? We need to stop asking what's wrong with people and start asking what happened. We don't get enough information. We just start making all these assumptions and all these judgments. And what we really need to do, whether we're ministers or medical professionals, is get to the root. What is the root of what is happening right now in real time?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm ordained with World Faith Ministries, but that doesn't mean anything, because there's not anything that really controls the Hindu side of like, ordaining or pastor, or anything that like along that kind of line. So there's not really anything that's official. So I had to go through another ministry. So really serious.
I'll be praying for you to get to the right help that you need for your situation. I'm going to pray for you to be guided to the right thing. And then the last thing I was going to say, Pastor Carlos and Joaquin, is that mental health issues are just like medical issues. The earlier they're treated, the more effective the treatment will be. And many times we wait too late. And I'll just speak about Black culture for a minute. Black culture is no to mental health, pretty much predominantly. You don't talk about what happens in our families. You don't talk about what happens in your house. No, your uncle did not do that to you. You're fine. People don't want to deal with mental health in the Black community. It's ridiculous. So, you know, we need to get off this being shamed and keeping secrets and all this other kind of stuff, because it has a snowball effect. There's a domino effect. And so you have years of pent up issues. And at some point, it has to be released, or it will get numbed with the substance, most likely. So that's all I had
Thank you,
to
John.
say
Thank you.
to contribute.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Sure, no problem. Bye.
Gems right there, man. Gems.
Major gems. Raj, that way, if anyone else wants to go ahead and join the live, is there anything else you want to go ahead and mention before we disconnect? That way we can give someone else a chance to speak.
Which the next thing, yeah. So if anyone's listening, what I need help with is obtaining a RF implant controller that can I know the patent is out there for my system, I think, but I'm not sure if I can get something in the meantime that can regulate my cochlear implants and my RF implants. Because the cochlear implants, I cannot stop the communication that's connected between myself and the people that are communicating with it. Because they're like with the implant system and with the cochlear implants, it can be paired with a kind of device that it should resemble like a mic with like headphones, you know, so you could take it home and you communicate with someone. Usually this kind of thing is usually done for people that they have like certain sort of disorders where they're vegetable, or where like, you know, they cannot physically, like they can like orally communicate with you, or their brain functions are slowed down, you know? So that's usually what this is for. But in this sense of experimentation, I haven't been able to gather why I've been put in such a position to, you know, be the one to work it, or be the one to disappear, for the matter of fact. Because every time I ask my dad about it, my dad does not know about it. I ask my mom about it, she doesn't know about it. But everybody else that I'm connected with knows about it. So they've been doing it purposefully. So that's why I need the help. I need help from someone. I'm not sure if you guys know any attorneys that can be able to step up and help me with the not only with the compensation aspect of it, but suing them for negligence and injury, personal injury, for harm, for a plethora of different subjects of suit, because they're my parents. You know, they know that I've been implanted. I've heard like a lot from the grapevine that my dad was the one that gave the controller to one of my mom's nieces. So he gave it to my mom's nieces, who he said that he didn't know what to do with me. So he gave it to them to be able to use to fuck with me, or to torture me. Because first of all, I'm homosexual, right? That's a no in like a South American, Guyanese, Indo-Caribbean family. Number two, they just don't like me. You know, some people just don't like you. And my family is one set of people that do not like me. They've isolated me from everyone for the past almost 3 years, just because they don't like me. They forwarded my phone calls. They blocked people from talking to me. I can't have a love life. I can't masturbate. Well, before that, the love life, I'm into this guy, and whatever the case may be, they took out any way that I could contact this guy from my phone. All the numbers, anyone that's in relation to that person, They stopped him from like coming here. They gave him the wrong address. They've included him in some kind of chat shit that they talk about me all day. They turned his mind against me. That's one thing. I'm not allowed to masturbate, so or touch myself. So if I do either, they take the controller and they use the functions to like stop me from doing it. Which means like they could send sharp pains into my big toes. They can send sharp pains anywhere throughout my muscular system, or they could do things like confuse me or I can hallucinate with it. That's how deeply rooted the controller and the RF implant can go hand in hand with someone's entire system, entire bodily system.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot, and I can only imagine the pain, the stress, the trauma. If I remember what you were mentioning before, you're going to therapy, right? You are receiving session. Okay, so you've been on top of that, because this is, like I said before, this is something very, very delicate. You're strong. You know, you're strong in the sense that you're going through all this, right? But you're still here with us. You're still here able to speak on it. You know, you haven't snapped, or, you know what I mean? You're able to speak on it. And what I'm hoping is this, if you don't mind me saying this, what I'm hoping is the same way you're expressing yourself on camera, you're handling it even behind the scenes, you know? That way it doesn't worsen the situation. And when I say the situation is your relationship with the family, so it doesn't affect your sessions, right? If you're stepping into the sessions saying one thing, but then, you know, it being something else outside of that space, you know, just be very, very careful with that, especially now what we were talking about, the substances, right? Just be very careful with that, with the substance, because
Joaquin,
sometimes
when I met you, I was probably like, what, 20? We were like, well, how old was you when you worked at Genzyme? Like 23?
Genzyme, man, when I was working at the lab, I was in my 20s.
Right. How old are you now?
I'm 35.
Oh, so we're the same age. Yeah, you were probably already a year older than me. I'm 35 this year. So we're about the same age. So since then till now, I've always did substance. I've always did drugs. I like drugs.
No, listen, where we come from, it's so
Uh-huh.
easy. And there's people, well, look, now they legalize marijuana, right? Everyone's doing it. But sometimes it doesn't have the right effect on everyone. Like even myself, it doesn't have the right effect. But not saying that that's creating a condition. I'm not saying that at all. Sometimes we want to numb the pain. We want to numb the feeling, and we go for the substance, right? Let's not even talk about the weed. Let's talk about alcohol. That's something that the majority of people do, right? I was heavy on alcohol in my past. You know what I mean? I like to have my drinks here and there if you want me to be open about it. But nowadays, I'm actually more careful about it. I'm more aware. And I found myself in situations where, you know what? I would have never had this thought, or I would have never reacted this way if it wasn't for those 2 or 3 beers or that cup of rum or whatever it is. You know, we're fully aware. But we have to be very, very careful, because there's stories out there where people lose control. They lose control completely on what they're feeling, what they're thinking, and the decisions that they make is what's making their situation worse. So, you know, you got to be very, very careful with that as well. It looks like Raj got disconnected, right?
Yeah, looks like we might have lost him there.
Yeah, Raj, if you're listening to us,
With how crazy the evening is, I mean,
it's crazy. Yeah, it's
yeah, there we go. It's got him, Adam back. So definitely, it didn't do a reconnect. See if it accepts, because I know that sometimes even you and me have had the issue where it doesn't.
It doesn't.
And I gotta hop on the burner. But see, once it drops, if it allows him to get back on.
But, you know, we got to be very careful. And I'm glad that Jael got on and said what she said, especially like she said, she's experienced, she's been in that space.
Yep.
And the fact that we're able to hear someone else's perspective, their experience, helps us, right? Because sometimes we have people around us who we claim are supportive, but they don't know how to say no to us, or they can't tell us the truth because they're afraid that they're going to hurt us or how we're going to feel. So, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And what I'm hoping is, I'm trying to add Raj, but it's not. This happened.
It's not dropping him. For some reason, it's
Leslie.
not dropping him. Yeah, that's right.
with
Let's
Leslie.
see if we give it a few minutes, it might drop automatically, and then dropping automatically, it should then allow him to get on. There we go. There goes a drop.
Did it drop?
Yeah,
Okay.
it dropped. I can see it dropped on this end.
All right. So if he sends another request, I'll go ahead and try it again. It's frozen on my end.
Okay.
Let me see. I almost removed them from the live accidentally. Let's see. No. See, I still have it frozen. I still have three slots on the.
It's funny because in the few times that we've had this happen, it's always been when there's truth coming through. It's always been in that moment of a breakthrough. It's always happened. So I'm telling you, man, it's not coincidence. For those of y'all that have any doubts, those of y'all that have been rocking with us from the beginning have been on certain lives where all of a sudden the Lord shows something that's really the truth that's going on, or it's a powerful moment where it's like a life-changing moment for somebody, you know, that somebody's gonna like ill receive. So I'm telling you, man, it's craziness. It's craziness. Let me see. I see Raj wrote, so now, since I've come on the live and spoken about this, my family and friends and temples have called to ambulate to take me to site care. Yeah, you got the address. Definitely check up on that, bro. We'll be in prayer over here, because definitely, I mean, with the craziness we've seen this evening, you know, at first, those of y'all that are on Facebook and YouTube have gotten a chance to see it live, where all of a sudden Instagram was like, is this really you? Are you on? Which is like, yeah. I mean, we've been on for like almost a year without interruption since the last few times that it's disconnected us. And this time we got that. And then afterwards it said, oh, it looks like somebody is trying to go and hack the account. It must be a phishing attempt. We're going to make you change your password because it's like, come on, man. Like, what are you even talking about now? Yeah. You know?
Yeah. It's intense.
It's not coincidence, y'all.
It's intense, you know, and I'm glad that everyone got to hear Roger's experience, what he's gone through in the past. Because, you know, there's real problems out there. You know, we all go through it. And just know that you're not alone. You know, we can always be available to discuss for those who need the help or need to find the resources. Like, we can help you seek the help that you need, help you, you know, find to get you in the right place. And I'm glad that Jael also brought up that, because we're not exempt from going through things. Like Pastor Carlos and I, we've been very transparent on when we go through situations. Like, I found myself in difficult situations even recently, and it's very delicate, and you got to be very careful. One thing that I say is, I would never want my family to feel it at home. You know, and it's not about holding it in. It's about knowing how to control it. And like Jael said, if you feel like it's getting out of your control, make sure to seek the help, you know? And I've been fully aware of that. And, you know, it's a gift and a curse at the same time, because you're able to see both sides, right? So if someone is seeking help and they want the advice from you, they ask you, like, listen, I'm going through, they tell you, they give you their testimony, and they're telling you that they're going through it. How are you going to be able to help them if you've never felt the pain that they're feeling, if you've never felt the fear that they're experiencing, if you've never felt the worry and just all that negative stuff, if you never felt it, how are you able to help? It doesn't say that you cannot be helped. You can, but you would have to help them seek the help. You know,
that's right.
Who are you going to go for? What's the hotline that you're going to contact? You know, what, you know, the resources that are out there, help them find it. Because a lot of people, they don't see it, you know, or they feel like, oh, what is a hotline going to do? You know, they're just going to talk to me. It's not going to help me. It might, you know, it might take me to the hospital, or they might think that I have problems and I'm going to need another 20 sessions. A lot of people are really afraid, because they're either afraid about what they're going to face, which is the truth, or a lot of people out there are afraid to hear the truth. you know, and they don't
Yep.
want to face it. And sometimes they want to go ahead and work their way around things, you know. And we've mentioned it, Big Bro, many times. It's best to face your issues, to face your problems,
Yep.
to face the truth, because all you're doing is delaying your healing, delaying your blessing. And we've all been there, you know. I've been one in the past where I said, oh, I don't need any help. Why am I going to go to a therapist? You know, I got this. And I find myself going to the therapist because I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to confirm. This was years ago.
Yeah.
Because I needed to confirm a situation. I was going through something very difficult situation. And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't hurt to go. I got to make sure I'm okay. I want to make sure that I'm not affecting anyone. I want to make sure I'm not the problem, because sometimes we're afraid to be told, no, you're the problem, not the other person.
That's right.
Sometimes, no, what you're doing is the problem. It's not putting the blame on other people. A lot of people are afraid to hear these things. So, tonight's been crazy. I can see why we've been getting disconnected from YouTube, Facebook, you know, because what we've been discussing, even while we were talking, Big Bro, I don't know if you remember when I hit you up around 3:00 in the morning the other day, last week.
Which that to me was crazy that you reached out, you know, around that time.
Yeah, you know,
it was
what
definitely
what did I say when I reached out? What was the text? Do you remember?
You know what? I have it right. Yeah, I have it right here.
The text was,
you and me really haven't got a chance to text all that often. But what you call it? Yeah, you went ahead and reached out to me. It was 2:24 in the morning for me, 3:24 in the morning for you.
Yep.
And it was just very simple. It was everything okay, Big Bro.
Yeah.
Which, mind you, we hadn't gotten a chance to talk. There hadn't been any communication. I don't even think we got a chance to there was no phone call or nothing.
No.
I'm looking at it here.
It was
just a real quick, everything good, you know, Big Bro. Like, just asking, is everything okay, Big Bro?
Yeah.
And that's all it was, you know?
When we go through difficult situations, just know that we're not the only ones. And the first thing you got to do is reach out and check up on your people, check up on your circle. Because if you're going through something, you never know if it's something that someone else might be going through as well. That night, I woke up because I was, you know, I guess what was happening in the dream, which felt so real, was that I was in the same home, the same house, and I was just casting demons, safe to say. And it felt extremely real. But what I was grabbing, what I took from that experience was, I know I'm in a difficult season. I know there are a lot of people who are in a difficult season. I talk to many people who go through it. I give the best advice possible. When I'm facing a difficult situation, you know, I make sure to face it, to go through the proper channels, to make sure that it doesn't get worse. I want to make sure that I handle it right. But it was very interesting what was happening. And, you know, what I want to say is, for those who are out there going through it and are experiencing a difficult moment, a difficult season, just know that you're not alone. Just know that, like Jael said, make sure that you speak to someone. Make sure that you open up to someone, whoever you feel comfortable with, whoever you can text, whoever you can call, because there are situations that aren't really happening and that don't really exist, but our mind can take us to that place where we entertain it, where we think it's real, and, you know, it's just maybe because of all the thoughts that you fell asleep with, it's causing you to have these crazy dreams. You know, it's causing you to wake up extremely stressed the next day. Be very careful with that. Make sure to pray heavy. I know sometimes a lot of people find it hard to pray, or they won't know how to pray. And the reason why I say these things is because I've found myself in that situation where even not praying because of being so drained, and I just end up knocking out and waking up the next day. But one thing that I found was that I have to speak to me whenever I find myself in these difficult moments, and remind myself that I am capable, that I can, and that I am good enough, and that anything that I came across in a dream or anything that crossed my mind on any given day is a lie, is a distraction, and it's something or someone trying to take me down from wherever you're heading. You know, your path, your journey. You know exactly where you're heading. You know exactly what it is that you want to accomplish. You know where you're heading. You know the people that you want to help. You know all the goals that you have to accomplish. Whatever you have ahead of you, there's always going to be an attack. There's always going to be decisions that you're going to make that's going to take you away from that blessing that you're heading towards. So it's not only the attack. It might be whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're thinking, that's straying you away from your path, from that journey that you're in. You know, you're full of doubt now. You're full of fear. You know, why is it? You know, what is it that you're doing that's causing you to feel this way? What is it that you're doing that's causing you to feel depressed, to feel anxious? You know, could it be because funds? Could it be because of something you did? Could it be because of...
Could be so many different things. So many different things.
Could it be because you're falling back into a pattern where you were in the past? You know, and it's easy to happen. Relapse. You know, relapse doesn't always mean addiction. Relapse just means that you start thinking the way you used to think in the past. Relapse also means that you end up doing the things that you were doing in the past, and that can affect you psychologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It can change the way you think. It can change the way you behave, which is why I always mention, be careful with the substances, you know. You have full control of these substances, right? Let's just say alcohol. But sometimes you find yourself in a difficult situation where it just throws you off completely because of what you're going through. It doesn't mean that you can't control it, right? But it's the situation that you may not be able to control, which is throwing you off. Let me go ahead and read what Jael dropped in the chat. I forgot to say this. Gaslighting often happens with mental health patients when they try to self advocate. Hold on.
When they try to self-advocate, you're overreacting.
Yeah, you're confused. You're remembering things wrong. The patterns. I'll be dropping gems, man.
And I took a screenshot of everything that Raj put. You know, because if anything goes down, you know.
Because for some reason I'm trying to scroll. I'm trying to scroll, and it's like cut off.
Don't worry, I screenshotted it. I screenshotted it here on what we're using to stream. I've got the entire thing, so if something goes down, we have info.
Yeah, man, praying for Raj. You know, I'm unable to see the messages, but you'll go ahead and send it over, big bro.
I'm gonna send it over to you.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch, to sit in and just listen. You know, make sure that you share clips of these lives, clips of our episodes, because there's a lot of people out there who are suffering, you know, who are struggling right now. And don't think of you struggling or suffering being a sign of weakness. It's not. You know, maybe you're just building strength. Maybe this is exactly what you need to become better, to improve your situation. Is exactly what you need to where you're going to be eventually in the future, right? Because there's a lot that we want to accomplish moving forward, but, you know, having a perfect life is not the way. Highs and lows is exactly what we need, because it's what gives us the wisdom to experience the good and the bad, and to teach people the good and the bad, and to help them learn and understand why they're going through these highs and lows, through these good and bad, through the dark and bright seasons, and learning how to navigate just life in general, and learning how to appreciate the good and the bad. You have to, because you're going to learn from both regardless. My life ain't perfect. You know, I struggle myself. I you know, glory to God that I step out of these seasons with a major victory, because the thing is, it's not coming out of the season. It's taking those lessons, learning from those lessons, and taking it with you moving forward, because this is how you're going to teach the people who are watching this live right now, this is how we're going to teach our children moving forward, because there's a lot of things that we've never seen our parents go through, but it doesn't mean that they've never gone through it. They did such a good job to make sure that we don't feel whatever it is that they felt in the process of obtaining an apartment, obtaining a house, obtaining the job that they had, which thankfully they've been able to retire from, and you know that they're still here with us. For those who still have their parents here with us, you know, be extremely grateful. For those who don't, like, I hope you find peace, you know, but make sure that you're the prime example, the same way they were in your life for your children, whether you have them or not right now, because moving forward, eventually you're going to have children. And even if you don't, you have nieces and nephews, you're going to have students looking up to you. You're going to have people in general looking up to you regardless of whatever the label is. You're going to have people looking up to you. And you need the wisdom, you need the experience to be able to make things happen, to be able to make the changes, not only in your life, but in other people's life. And it's major what we've been doing, big bro. Like, I don't think people understand, man. We're not getting paid for this. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we remind people here and there, you know, we accept donations. We don't turn those down, but we're not forcing you to donate, to make any donations. We're not, because our intent, we're just serving our purpose. When we started this episode, life was not perfect at all. Life will never be perfect. And we take life as it is. Big bro, you already know, we've had, briefly, right? Because we haven't really discussed much lately, but we go through these battles. So whenever we talk to you and whenever we're being very transparent, best believe we're actually going through it. You know, we could have been on this live selling you a course. We could have been on this live selling you a dream. You know, oh, you know, we have a way to do it, but you know, this course is $9.99, but for today, the sale will be going for $10.99. We're not doing this. We're not asking for no money. We're not asking for no donations. All we're asking is for your time. All we're asking you is to share our content, to make sure that you pass the message on to the next person. It doesn't cost anything. It does not cost anything. And this is what we're here for. You know, like, we really want to hear from you. We really want to hear from you. When we tell you to go ahead and join the live, do it whenever you feel comfortable. Like, I want to hear about what you think about what we discussed. I want to hear about your testimony. I want to hear about what you've gone through in the past few weeks, days, months, years, because we can learn from you. Yeah, we're on this platform, but just remember, this platform is not only Pastor Carlo and I. It's not for us. It's for us as a whole, the viewers, you know, everyone who joins. It's for all of us, because we all need healing. I need to heal from many things, you know, and I know you got exactly what I need for me to heal. The same way you feel like we have what you need to heal, the messages, the topics. You know, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have in your mind. No one is better than anyone, not on this platform.
Facts.
Julie Jules said one big family. I love that. Yep, just that, exactly. And the more we're able to spread awareness, the more we're able to share this type of conversation. Again, it doesn't have to be us, but you don't come across these type of conversations on social media. You don't. And whenever you see someone in the industry, when I say the industry, celebrities, bring up these topics, it's only or mostly when something tragic happens.
Exactly.
Then poof, it disappears, and then back to the norm, back to the gossip, back to what happened last week. Did you see the car that this person bought? Did you see the house? Did you hear about the amount? Do you hear about the amount of money that this person is making? It's not about that. Right now, we're living in a tough season. We're living in the economy is crazy right now. Inflation is at an all-time high. You don't think people are going through it right now? And there's a lot more than just that people are going through. Raj was a perfect example. The testimonies that we've put out, Jael, that I've put out, that Pastor Carlo has put out, Corinne, Julie Jules, everyone, don't get offended if I don't mention any names, but every single person who has put a testimony on this live has gone through it.
Yep.
And they've had the courage to be able to get on the screen. Just imagine the people who hasn't been able to do it because they're just afraid.
And we're gonna have
ashamed
more because the Lord is setting captives free. Believe me, they're gonna come in floods, man. They're gonna come in floods.
There's people out there doing some evil stuff to other people. Betrayal, cheating other people. And when I say cheating, I'm not only talking about relationships. I'm talking about in general, financially, mentally, like hurting other people, firing people. If you want to,
a lot of ways y'all can't think.
It's many ways, and enough is enough. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that you have a platform that you can come to, that you can speak up. You have a platform that you can come to that if you feel that it's not the right time for you to express yourself, you have the chance to sit and listen. So you can receive exactly what you need to at least start the healing process. Let's start looking over that wound that you have. Let's start treating it. Let's start treating it. Because sometimes it takes more than just a night out. Sometimes it takes more than just a simple conversation from the person that you're used to. You need to hear it from a stranger. You need to hear it from people that you're not used to talking to.
Facts.
Why? Because that's when the truth is going to come out. I need to do the same thing. I've been one in the past that I wanted to hide my situation. I didn't want anybody to know about my situation. But I'm okay with anybody knowing about my situation. And you have two choices. You're either here to help me or you're going to look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm good with either one.
Yep.
I'm good with either one. Because I've been so worried about what people think or what people say. I've been so worried about in the past. And it's always made my situation worse. But when I learned that it doesn't matter, a man who speaks his feelings and who's able to speak and express themselves, it don't matter what somebody's saying or how they're looking at you. What matters is who's receiving your message, who's listening to you, who's actually healing because of you, who's actually feeling comfortable because of you, who's actually speaking up, finally speaking up because of you. You got to look at the blessing. Look at the blessing. Look at your situation and how can you use your situation to help the next person. Julie Jules said, you'll feel so much better once you give your testimony. Believe me. Thank you, Julie Jules, for putting that out in the chat.
Absolutely.
Thank you for putting your testimony out a few weeks ago. Major. Thank you for engaging in the chat always. Everyone who's been engaging in the chat. It's priceless. There are people right now who are reading your message. There are people right now who are listening to anyone who joins the live.
It gives hope. It gives hope. I'm telling you, it gives hope.
It gives hope out there. Like there's people out there who need it. There's people out there who need it. Don't forget that we are on every Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Just want to put that out there. 7:30 p.m. Central and 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. West Coast. Man, tonight was deep. It was unexpected. Like I froze for a second, for real, because it was really unexpected. You never know what you're gonna receive whenever you open up and give someone the opportunity to speak.
Facts.
You just never know, and maybe that's exactly what they needed. Definitely heavy prayers for everyone who's currently going through it. And just know that your current situation is not your final destination. Just want to put that out there. I've mentioned it many times in the past. Your current situation is not your final destination. There's so much more. And don't focus on the destination alone. Make sure that you embrace the journey, the process, because that's where it's going to take you to where you need to be. And sometimes the destination that you're thinking about, it's not the one where you're going to end up in. That's facts. Whether it's you choosing a career, whether it's you looking for someone to share the rest of your life with, whether it's you trying to figure out how you're going to get out of the situation that you're in, whether it's you trying to figure out what it is that you want to do for yourself, for your family, and what it's going to take. A lot of us tend to focus on just the destination and we forget about the process. Enjoy it. Enjoy that process. Focus on, no matter how hard it gets, focus on getting through each obstacle. Don't work your way around it. Face each obstacle. Overcome, because you will break through. And once you break through, you're going to see the reason why you went through it, the reason why. And you got to learn from it. Make sure to learn from it. God is truly amazing. Instead of one box, I filled 3 boxes of school supplies,
Praise
food,
God.
toys
Praise
to
God,
distribute this
man.
weekend.
Let's go.
Man. Julie Jules hasn't stopped, giving back. That's amazing. Big shout out to you, Julie Jules, with everything that you're doing with your brand, everything that you do on your own time to give to the people who are in need, who need. It's truly a blessing, and it's all because of the intentions that you have for others, because of who you are and the heart that you hold. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that's going to happen in and around you, in and around you. And that goes for everyone, everyone who's trying to get things done out there, not only for themselves, but for their family and for the community. For the community, not only the one that you're in, but even the ones that you vacation in, even the people who are out there in the world, because we get to see what's happening. We get to see what's happening. Thank God for social media. Thank God for social media.
Yep.
We're able to reach a lot more. Sometimes we're there physically, like you do, Julie Jules. You head to these countries, to DR. You do it in Florida, and I'm sure there's other places. But there's a lot of people out there who are doing it virtually. You might be doing it virtually as well. And that's a blessing itself. That's a blessing itself. So what's up, Sal? I see you. What's going on?
God already blessed Julie Jules and her line. It's going to be sold in a makeup store in the Dominican Republic permanently.
Nice.
Let's go.
That's major.
God blesses his children, man. For real.
Congrats. That's a big move right there. That's a big move right there. If there's anyone that wants to go ahead and join the live, I'm hoping that if you send a request that you're able to join, because I tried getting Raj on a few times. I still have the screen frozen on my screen. And if you want to go ahead and drop messages instead in the chat, please, I'll be more than happy to read it out loud. For those who want to keep it anonymous, you have the option on the bottom right, bubble with the question mark. Go ahead and drop your question, your statement. We'll give you the best advice or answer possible. See everyone.
Yep, just a reminder, Refiners Church every Sunday, noon Eastern. Oh, hold on. Yeah, noon Eastern and 11 o'clock Central, and that's 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, West Coast. You can go ahead and follow me. You'll catch the stream for Refiners Church every Sunday, right there. But major things happening. I know that we're just seeing God move on the church level that He's lifted up, and over here. He's doing big things, man. Again, he's freeing captives. I know that's what he's doing with what we're doing right now. What he's calling us to do. We've been obedient, and he's going to bring stuff to light. Captives coming free. So if you're in the Houston area, DM us. We can get you the information on how to get to us. If not, if you want to be part of the EFAM, go ahead. Just watch us. YouTube, Facebook. Yep. It's absolutely live. You guys can share with people real easily on Facebook. Just a quick share on YouTube. You can share with people via text and WhatsApp, whatever you're using. Yep. But don't miss out. We're hearing people being blessed even from afar. So we want to make sure that y'all are being blessed too. But man, so far every week, man, we continue on the up and up. I think this past week, by the time we hit Monday, we were like about 150 people viewing the content. So people are joining. We want to give you guys thanks for every single one of y'all that has blessed us with your presence. We hope that, you guys are being blessed by what the Lord is doing in the service, and we continue to go from glory to glory. So again, if you can make it in person, God will bless you there, I'm sure. And if not, if you can catch it online, may He bless you there as well. But we give you guys thanks for joining us. And if you've been sharing, we give you thanks for sharing. If you haven't been sharing, go ahead and share. Trust me, people being blessed. You don't know who needs to receive, not just on Sunday, but also by what's on the platform, like we've mentioned before. So go ahead and do that. But wanted to make sure to give you guys an update, give you guys thanks. God doing big things, man. God is doing big things.
Major, yeah, and just follow Refiners Church. I went ahead and I dropped let me go ahead and pin it. Make sure to follow Refiners Church. You'll also find the username tagged on our post for the episode. Once we get off the live, make sure to check out the links in our bio as well. Make sure to check out all those links. Don't forget that we also have the scheduled live on my profile. When you click on the scheduled live, it'll send you a notification 2 days before, the day before, and the day of. We always have the scheduled live 1 week before. Please make sure to click so you can get the reminder. Not only for you to get the reminder, make sure that you encourage others to join us, to listen. And when I say join us, not just to view us. It's okay if you just want to view, but feel comfortable with joining the live at any time. And hopefully we don't have any connection issues like we haven't had in a while, but today all of a sudden we did. But
that's the enemy, man. That was the enemy unquestionably today. Unquestionably today. I already got you Raj's the screenshot that I took, so you can reach out. Y'all just be in prayer for Raj, because whatever it is going on over there, definitely on whatever level it is, he's needing the help. You know what I'm saying? In that situation. So
big time. Big bro, I think we're good here. I think we're good. You know,
yes, sir.
Anyone wants to join, giving you a few seconds. If not, we will be disconnecting. Don't forget that we will be back on next Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Central, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, West Coast. Make sure you set the notification. Don't forget that all of our episodes are on YouTube. If you got in the live halfway through, our episode is on YouTube. Go ahead and watch it there. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget, we're here for you. For those, once again, who are struggling, or you are struggling to find peace, struggling to find work, struggling to overcome just obstacles in general, just be very patient, stay strong, because eventually you will. You have to focus on what's ahead, not what's been behind you. Focus on where you're heading and your reasons, you know. Don't get discouraged. It's very easy to get discouraged, lost, to be confused. We all go through it, and we are here to uplift one another, to push each other, to motivate each other to do better, to make sure that we're on our toes, to make sure that we are stable mentally and emotionally and spiritually, right? The finance comes after, because remember, if we don't have our mind, if we're not good in our hearts or in us internally, then how is anything around us going to be good, right? All we're going to do is attract negativity. And that's exactly what we don't do on this platform. So we help you to move forward, to push forward, because just like you, we struggle as well, to be real. So just know you're not alone. Make sure to reach out when you do have to. DM us, email. You have the option to contact us. Just check out the links. You will be able to reach us. Everyone can tell you we're very good with responding. So please don't be afraid to do so. Big bro, there's anything you want to go ahead and say before we disconnect?
Nah, just just try it. Really, God's opening your eyes to a lot of things that are going on. Pray about it. Let him reveal it to you. And if you're needing the help, like Jay Mejia said, reach out. Please reach out. You cannot tend to the people that need the help. You cannot tend to the people that that are sick or hurting if you never go to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? And for some of y'all, the hospital is this. For some of y'all, the hospital is Refiners Church. For some of y'all, the hospital is maybe somewhere else, another church. It's important for you to get there. So we just want to make sure we're doing our part for what God is calling us for y'all to be good. So, we're here. We're here.
Amen. Well, once again, don't forget, next week, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, for episode 82 We will be
82.
on next week, Thursday, for episode 82, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Central, and 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, West Coast. And don't forget, patience is a virtue and faith is the substance. Have a good week, good weekend. Love you all. See you all next week.
Y'all be blessed.